When your execution is broadcast, humanity will finally learn its place.
No.
The Kryzeth throne hall was built from the bones of dead stars, black stone veined with light that never warmed anything. Ambassador Elena Voss walked into it alone. No escort, no weapon, just a small silver case in her right hand and the weight of 8 billion people on her shoulders. Outside, beyond the hull of this floating fortress, 300 Kryzeth warships hung in perfect formation around the edge of the solar system. Earth had no fleet to answer them. No visible one, anyway. The Dominion had scanned every shipyard, every colony, every whisper of human industry, and found nothing that could challenge them. To the Kryzeth, humanity was a species that had gotten lucky for a few centuries and was about to run out of luck. That was why they had agreed to this meeting at all. Not out of respect, out of curiosity. They wanted to see the face of the species they were about to erase. Elena had volunteered for this. She was not a soldier. She was not a diplomat by training. She was a woman who had lost her brother in the first contact skirmish 2 years ago, and when Earth's assembly asked for a volunteer to carry the final offer of peace, she had raised her hand before anyone else could. She stopped at the center of the hall, beneath a ceiling that swallowed sound. Above her, on a throne of fused starlight, sat High Overseer Threll, ruler of 11 conquered systems, and a being who had never once lost a war. He looked down at her the way a man looks down at an insect that has wandered onto his boot. "You are smaller than I imagined," Threll said, his voice a low vibration that made the floor hum. "The great human envoy, sent to beg." "I'm not here to beg," Elena said. "I'm here to deliver Earth's final terms." A ripple of amusement moved through the Kryzeth court. Guards along the walls, 7 feet of armored muscle each, shifted their weapons with lazy confidence. They did not expect to need them. One even lowered his rifle, as if standing guard over an insect was beneath him. "Terms," Threll repeated, tasting the word like it was something rotten. "You have no fleet, no shield network worth mentioning. Your entire species could fit inside one of my supply ships, and you speak to me of terms." Elena opened the case. Inside sat a single data crystal, pulsing faint blue. "Earth offers peaceful contact, trade, boundaries, a future where nobody else has to die." Threll rose from his throne. He was massive, plated in obsidian armor scarred from 100 campaigns, and when he moved, the entire hall seemed to lean away from him. "I did not summon you here to negotiate," he said. "I summoned you here because I wanted your species to watch, through your own cameras, what happens to those who waste my time." He raised one clawed hand. 2 guards seized Elena by the arms. The case fell from her hand and skidded across the floor, the crystal rolling to a stop at the foot of the throne. "Broadcast this," Threll commanded. "Every human network. Let them see their messenger silenced. Let them understand that resistance ends here, tonight, in this room." Elena did not struggle. She did not scream. She simply lifted her chin, looked directly into the small drone camera now hovering beside her face, and smiled. "You should have read the terms," she said quietly. Page 1. Threll's blade ignited, a curved length of white plasma, humming with lethal patience. He stepped down from the throne to do the killing himself because he wanted the galaxy to see his hand do it. What he did not know, what no scanner on his ship had detected, was that the data crystal had never been a peace offer at all. For the last 40 minutes, from the moment she stepped aboard, it had been silently mapping every shield harmonic, every weapons battery, every gap in the Kryzeth flagship's armor, and feeding it in real time through a channel no Kryzeth technology could see. Because it wasn't broadcasting to Earth's networks. It was broadcasting to Earth's fleet. A fleet that had been sitting cloaked at the edge of the system for 6 days, built in secret, forged in silence, waiting for one single trigger. The sound of Elena's voice, saying words she had memorized without ever being told why. "Page 1, she had said. 200 human warships dropped their cloaks at once. They didn't appear gradually. They simply were, filling the void around the Kryzeth armada, in perfect firing position, every weapon already locked onto the precise shield gaps Elena had spent an hour mapping with her own eyes. Threll's blade froze inches from her throat. Alarms screamed through every deck of his flagship at once, red light washing over walls that had never known an intruder. For one full second, the great High Overseer of 11 systems understood, with total clarity, that he had made the only mistake his species would never recover from. He had assumed a silent species was a defenseless one. Earth's fleet opened fire in perfect unison. The Kryzeth flagship's shields, mapped down to the last flickering weak point, collapsed in seconds. Threll's blade dropped from his hand. "Stand down," Elena said calmly, "or we finish what you started." The battle lasted 11 minutes. When it ended, 40 Kryzeth warships drifted dark and broken across the void, hulls venting light like dying stars. The rest were retreating faster than dignity allowed, their formation shattered, their signals begging for a ceasefire, and nobody on the human side felt in a hurry to grant. High Overseer Threll knelt on the floor of his own throne room, disarmed, surrounded by human marines who had boarded through the breach his own arrogance had created. He did not speak. There was nothing left in his empire's language for this. Elena Voss walked out of that hall the same way she walked in. Calm, unarmed, unbroken. A young lieutenant met her at the boarding ramp, breathless, asking how she had known Threll would take the bait, how she had trusted a plan that hinged entirely on her own execution being delayed by exactly the right number of seconds. "I didn't know," Elena said. "I just knew Earth would come." Back home, the footage played on every screen on the planet. Not the execution Threll had intended to broadcast, but the moment his blade froze in the air, the moment 200 human warships appeared like judgment itself out of empty space. The moment an entire alien empire learned that silence is not the same as weakness. In the weeks that followed, the Kryzeth Dominion signed the very terms they had once laughed at, page 1 included. Statues of Elena were never built. She refused everyone. She said the fleet deserved the credit, and the fleet said the same about her. And somewhere in that argument, humanity found its truest anthem. Elena never called herself a hero. She said she was just a messenger. But every person on Earth who watched that footage understood the lesson written into it forever. Humanity does not need to be loud to be dangerous. It only needs to be underestimated once.